and this is identifying purpose of text. So as I would explained in the other sessions, when you're going to be doing your reading exam, you're going to have 3 different texts to look at, and they will be on similar subjects, and then you'll get asked very different questions on those texts that have been written. Okay, so based on those texts that have been written, they'll be on a similar subject, and you'll have a range of 2. So actually, some of them are even 1-mark questions, because there'll be an A, B, C, or D option, up to 5 to 6 marks per question. So they will range, and they will, as you kind of get into the exam, they want you to get more and more information out of it. Just a little tip for you: when you do get to that point, don't open your exam and read all 3 texts back to back. Literally go to the first question, figure out what text it wants you to relate that question to, and just read that text. So I would always advise just reading the text that you need at that point, because by the time you read all 3 texts, you're going to forget what was in the first one. Also make notes as well, so read it properly. Maybe make some notes on your scrap paper, and then those notes will make it easier when you're then skim reading to look back over things. So hopefully what we're going to look at today, so looking at the different types of text and the features within those texts, those notes will then make sense as to what sort of things you should be pulling out, because they'll then relate to the questions that they're going to ask you. Okay, so the main types of text that you're going to get in your exam, again, you're going to get 3. So you are going to get 3 of possibly these. So you could have a descriptive text. This is going to outline the details of a topic or event. You could have a text that is very explanatory or instructive. So it's going to be a clear topic to give you reasons for a decision that you're going to make. It could just be informative, so to make you aware of something or to give you advice on something. And it could be persuasive, so to get you to buy or believe something. So I've seen questions come up persuading you to, I don't know, go and buy the latest technology, whether that's an iPhone. So yeah, you could have 3 similar texts based on why you should go buy the iPhone, why you should go buy a different make of phone, or why actually phones are really bad for you, and how they can kind of distance you from people in terms of, you don't talk anymore face to face, and you get kind of get carried away with technology. So you could have one maybe very argumentative about, or it could be very informative about the health problems that that phones and stuff could cause. So just depends on obviously the topic as to what types of text you're going to get. So they're the kind of the 4 main ones that you're going to look at, or that might be presented to you. You could also have something that's very argumentative. Obviously it's going to convince you to try and change your mind against what you believe in, or what football team you support. Or you might have something that's entertaining. I'm yet to see anything that's entertaining in the exam, but you never know, you might get lucky. Okay, so to identify the text, so when you're reading through your 3 different bits of text, the best way to try and identify the purpose of that text is basically you need to ask yourself 2 questions. Okay, so one is going to be, why has that person written it? So why has that bit of text been written? What is the purpose of it? And why do they want to do, or what do they want to do as a result of reading it? So what do they want you to go away and do? Do they want you to just go away and think about, well, actually, yeah, I might change my opinions on that subject, or actually I might change my opinion and I'm no longer going to buy the next iPhone, I'm going to go and buy a Samsung. So it's, what do they want you to do from the result of that? So basically, you then need to look at the types of features within those texts to then help support your answer. So I guarantee you there will be a question on what is the purpose of text, blah, blah. Okay, it might be you might get a couple of questions that come up like that based on each individual text, but generally you'll get at least this once. What is the purpose of text A? So you then have to say it's argumentative, it's putting a counter argument against how, you know, phones are, you know, they can harm your health, etc. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at those individual types of text that you might get, and we're going to look at what they are and what their features are, and kind of some examples really. So if you're going to have a descriptive text, the writers use this style to talk about either a real or imaginary scenario. So basically, if you're reading it and it's like a story, then it's probably more than likely descriptive. Okay, so the writer is going to put emphasis on a place. So like it's their interpretation of what it's like, how it was when they went there. Okay, so why did they like that particular place? When did they first go, and why should others visit? So it's going to be very story based on where they went on holiday, maybe, for example. So examples could be like some sort of travel log, blogs, novel or articles. So some of the features that are going to stick out for this. So if you were reading it and thinking, this seems like a bit of a story, if the language that they're using, so it's how they've chosen to write it, if they're kind of referring to the senses, so your smell, your taste, your sight, your touch, your sound, if any of those are in there, then it's definitely going to be describing how they felt at that particular time. Okay, if there's lots of adjectives and adverbs, so like soft, softly, warm, warmly, then again, that is describing something. And they could have varied sentence length. For example, short sentences to build up suspense, so like you would read in a book. And there's obviously an example on the screen. Okay, so this is an example of some descriptive writing. I've highlighted some of the main aspects in there. So based on what we've just gone through, what sort of things have been highlighted? So they might not be everything that we just kind of looked at, but what is highlighted on there?
Is it how everything's been used, and see if it makes sense or not?
Yeah, so for example,
like for instance, there's a full stop by where it says mum when it's
right.
supposed to be, and it's got speech marks. So
So that's descriptive, because it's explaining how Thomas shouted at his mum. So it's not necessarily looking at how it's written with like the in terms of like punctuation or anything. That particular one's highlighted because it's a short paragraph. So you'll also see down the bottom here, you've got warm, comforting hug. So again, it's describing, he didn't just give a hug, she gave a warm and it was comforting hug. So there's a bit of description in there. Referring to the senses up here, so feel the warm sunshine on the face, smell the freshness of the cut grass. So again, it's relating to the senses. So this is obviously a story. It's got lots of adjectives in there because it's describing things. There's short paragraphs which are highlighted, and then obviously references to your senses. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Excellent. So if you're reading it and it seems like a bit of a book, there's a bit of storyline going in there, then it's describing something. Okay. So moving on to explanatory. So this is a style of writing focused on relaying facts or opinion. So from the writer to you, the reader. So they're giving you a fact or an opinion about a subject. So examples could include instruction booklets, newspapers or magazines, articles and reports. So generally, hopefully, you'd like to think when you're reading through magazines and newspapers, they are based on the facts. Obviously, we know some newspapers exaggerate the facts a little bit, but generally they should be writing based on the facts. So how you would know it's explanatory. So they could be listing the points, so instructions or logical paragraph structures. Writing in the present tense, so what's happening here and now. And they could be linking the paragraphs and points together. So first this happened, next this happened, and then in conclusion, this is what happened, or this is what you should do. Okay. They could also use things like images, illustrations, and diagrams. Obviously, when you look through newspapers and magazines, they always use pictures and titles to try and capture your eye, so you can then read it, and then they're going to explain what it is that they want to write about. So, an example on this one, there's an article. So this one's been taken from a newspaper. It's an article, obviously, about Gareth Bale. Will he or will he not be leaving Real Madrid? Okay.
No.
So some of the examples that have been highlighted, how would you know that this is something that explanatory? So what did we say?
They're using facts because it tells you how old he is.
Yeah.
And where he plays.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So how old he is, where he plays, when he joined, and when it's been extended to. So yeah, there's some good facts in there. So yeah, facts is definitely top of my list. It's all written in present tense, what's going on and happening right now. And obviously there's an image about Gareth Bale, so it's an appropriate image. Obviously, it's
would you say a link would be good as well? The link as well, according to SBN, so you can then look further into like other things going on.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I mean, in that aspect, they've just kind of used that as a little bit of an advertising tool, because it's just according to them, they said. But again, that is if they give a specific person that has been said it. So if, for example, it was a fact, and they said Professor blah 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 said this, you're more likely to believe it unless they just said, oh, and the facts are this. If it's come from a reliable source, if that makes sense. So
yeah, but when has anything come from a reliable source, isn't it, really?
Yeah, we'd like to think that ESPN are a bit more of a reliable source, and just whoever's obviously writing the article. Okay, so there's just some examples for that one. So moving on to informative. So if it's going to be an informative text, it's to inform someone, to tell them about something, or to provide them with some information. It is to answer the questions of who, what, when, and where. Okay, so if you can read through it and at the end of it, you're knowing all of those sort of questions, then it's giving you information. Okay, so things like leaflets, timetables, and guidebooks, they're all examples of informative text. Okay, so some of the features are going to be titles, headings, and subheadings. So you're definitely going to see that in a leaflet. Timetables are definitely going to have a title and a heading as to what the timetable is. They're going to have facts and figures in them, because especially like the timetable, it is all the facts in there. A leaflet, they're going to give you the facts based on what it is that they're advertising or selling, or even just giving you that information on. Some of the references in there, so they might have quotes from witnesses and experts. So for example, if when you go in loads of shops or leisure places, and you see them big boxes filled with all them different leaflets, they're all going to have in there, they're probably going to have quotes from people who have maybe gone to that place. Oh, it was an amazing day out. I would definitely go back again. Websites have it all the time, so reviews and things are always good. So if there's a quote from someone else, an expert or a witness, then you're more likely to go and do that. So that's how they're going to inform you, by not just saying this place is here, go and visit it, opens at this time and this time. Actually, this place is here, go visit, and this person said how amazing it was. You're more likely to do it. So an example, I've gone with a timetable. This is obviously our timetable that we've been using this week to advertise what's on TWP-TV this week. So what are some of the features in here? How would you know it's informative? What jumps out at you?
The timings.
Yep, so it tells you when it is.
It's got obviously it's saying like who's leading what, for example.
Yeah. So it doesn't necessarily specify who's delivering them, but the color coordinated kind of indexy bit down the right hand side does specify who it's for. So obviously those in white are for all activity professionals. The pinky ones, they're for obviously business owners. So they're giving you that information, who it's for. So yeah, you've got a when, so the timing, you've got the date, the days, sorry, and you've got obviously who it's for. So there's obviously a title in there to tell you what it is. So it's telling you that it's this week, and obviously the logos are on there to say what it is that it's informing you about. There's facts on there because you've got your day, you've got your days, who it's for. It's all factual, and obviously, like I said, who and when it's going to be. So, looking at persuasive. So, persuasive and argumentative writing share some similarities. However, in persuasive text, you've got adverts, opinions, and leaflets. The writer is trying to persuade others to perform an action, so either buy a product or vote for a certain person. It's persuading you to go and do something. Okay. So on a daily basis, we're surrounded by lots of images and messages that seem to persuade us to go and eat healthily, exercise more, purchase products, etc. All day, every day. You'll hear them on the radio, you'll see them on the TV, you'll see them on websites. They're literally pretty much any app that you download nowadays has got adverts on it, is trying to persuade you to go and download their app or go and eat their food. Okay, so features of knowing how it would be persuading you is repetition. The repetition could be, I don't know, if they were persuading you to go and watch Norwich City play football, they might want to say Norwich City always win, win, win. That's a repetition because they've repeated win 3 times. They don't, but then they might be a good slogan for them to use. Rhetorical question. So just a tip for you, if there is a question mark anywhere in a piece of writing, it's a rhetorical question. So just to recap, a rhetorical question is basically the writer is getting you to stop and think about that question. So because you're not having a conversation, you can't answer that question. A rhetorical question is basically a question that you can't answer, but it's persuasive because it's getting you to stop and think, do I need that new phone? Do I need that bit of food? Do I want to go and buy that new car? That gets you to stop and think about what it is that they want you to read. Okay, so you've got emotive or powerful adjectives or verbs. So emotive is just emotional kind of verbs, and using the present tense again. Okay, personal approach to you, the reader. So most obvious one, if they're trying to persuade you to go and do something, they're going to tell you why you need it. They're going to make it direct to you. One is obviously going to be that rhetorical question. Two, they're going to make it appeal to you as to, they're going to make you think that you can't live without it. Okay, and facts and statistics, because again, if someone's trying to advertise a car to me, if there's no facts about that car, I don't know what mileage it's done, or how much the tax is, or how old it is, am I going to go and want to go and look at that car just by seeing a picture? Probably not. So facts and statistics are obviously really good to justify what it is that they're trying to sell and persuade you to go and buy. So an example for this, an advert. I'm sure we're all missing McDonald's at the moment. I definitely am. Not that I eat it every day, but you know, once a week is fine. So looking at this advert from McDonald's, why is this persuasive? What is in there?
Picture of the burger.
Yeah, so that picture's definitely persuaded me.
A
What else?
question or a rhetorical question?
Rhetorical question, yeah. So there is a question in there.
There's a quote at the bottom saying Big Mac, there's a McDonald's for everyone. So like that's persuading, like persuasive.
Yeah, definitely, because it's saying no matter what it is that you like, you can go to McDonald's and you can find it. They've actually done really well recently in terms of their healthy side. So even if you're on a diet, you can go there, you can have a salad and carrot sticks, fruit, not that you'd want to, but if you were, you could. So, you know, mums who are maybe watching what they eat, they can go and take the kids have their happy meal, mum can still eat, maybe mum before didn't eat, now she can eat. They do a really good thing about advertising. I think it's like under 500 or 600 calorie meals now. So that's a really good way of obviously advertising. So yeah, that slogan there, saying there is a McDonald's for everyone, is spot on, because there is literally, you know, they obviously do vegetarian options as well. So yeah, that is the main thing in there, is obviously that rhetorical question. It's a bit of a quirky, funny one as well, because it's a bit of a debate, isn't it? Gherkins, you either like them or you don't.
Making me hungry.
I know, me too. Okay, so yeah, the rhetorical questions in there, and obviously the image. It's making me want to go have one, even though we can't. So yeah, it's obviously persuasive in that aspect in an advert. And as Ben said, got that personal approach down the bottom, because it's directing it to you, saying that there is, if you don't like your gherkins or your Big Mac, there's definitely something else there for you. Excellent. So if it's argumentative, these texts make a case in order to attack or defend a particular topic. So yeah, that it's going to be based obviously on similar topic to whatever the other three texts are, but in this one, if it's defending, say it might be defending the iPhone and saying how great it is, or defending technology in general, or defending the food. If it was based on like 3 different texts on fast food, one person saying how, you know, how accessible it is, and if you've got a busy lifestyle, you can feed your kids, etc., and it's cheap. Another one might be very argumentative of how to either attack somewhere like McDonald's that you know, promote, you know, the toys for the kids in the Happy Meals and stuff like that, and it's cool to go to McDonald's if you're a kid. So it's going to be very argumentative as to why they shouldn't go there, and all the health aspects of, you know, the impact of fast food can have. So they most often are formal letters or articles. So generally, I would probably say if this text came up in your exam, it'd probably be an article on how argumentative it was. Okay, so the features in an argumentative text is going to be noting different viewpoints. So even they might even dismiss them. So they might say, so and so said this, and then completely dismiss it and say why it's not relevant or why it's good. They could use counter arguments. So again, they may say this has been stated, however, this is the truth and the fact, and this is my argument that I'm going to put towards you. There's going to be facts in there, because if you're going to put an argument across, you need to have some facts to back up what you're saying. Give an example as well. So there's no point saying don't go buy the iPhone, it's rubbish, Well, why is it rubbish? You need to give an example why it's rubbish. The batteries on them are terrible. They only last for 50% of the day. That would be given a fact and a statistic. Obviously, if that was then backed up by, you know, where that came from, and if it was an expert saying how harmful iPhones were or weren't against your health, that could be very argumentative. Again, the emotional language, your strong verbs like destroy, violate, attack, assault. They're very harsh words that are going to be very argumentative against. Again, they're going to be very opinionated. Appeals to popularity and authority. So that's obviously generally it's either going to be argumentative against something that is very popular, or they're going to argumentative because it is popular and it shouldn't be. The formal style and serious tone as well. So that obviously if they're going to be put an argument across, they're not going to try and be funny. They want to be serious. They want it to be formal. They want to be taken seriously because they want their argument listened to. Okay. So an example on this one, we've gone with a letter. So you might not be able to read everything that letter says, but there's some highlighted points in there. So what are some of the highlighted points can you see? Why is that standing out as argumentative? What's the most obvious one?
Got a percentage, so it's like a fact.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So this particular argumentative letter is are we too dependent on computers? So this one is referring to technology. It's obviously using quite strong words like absorbed and unbelievable. It's using facts like a computer program can perform, computers enable us to work faster, and obviously, yeah, the percentage in there obviously is a statistic, which is good. So you've got facts in there, examples of what the computer does or doesn't do, and obviously then a counter argument. So entertaining. Like I said, it's very unlikely that you're going to get something entertaining in your exam, but you never know. So the purpose is that the reader will enjoy reading the text. Examples of this could be a blog, an article, a cartoon, or maybe a review of something. The features of that are going to be, there's going to be funny anecdotes in there, and funny comments, and some cliches. So an example I've gone with is a cartoon, so very relevant at the moment. Oh, Boris, bless him. A bit of a funny cartoon, pretty obvious what it is, a funny picture. You've got a few quotes in there. So yeah, it's meant to be entertaining because it's got some humour in there. And obviously the comments are taking it humour. Okay. So sorry to disappoint you, Heather, there's no quiz on this one today. So what we're going to go with is on the invite I've sent, there's a worksheet for today. There's just some examples of some different texts. So it gives you a chance to actually read through them, absorb them, and then it's a multiple choice. Which one do you think it is, basically? So if you can have a look, it shouldn't take you very long. There's like 3 tasks on there. If you can have a go at that, just download the Word document, either highlight your answer, or you can just ping an email back saying exercise 1, A, B, whatever it is your answers are. It's entirely up to you how you prefer. Either email me the Word document with your answers on, or you can, if you want to print it out and do it by hand, you can take a picture of it. If not, then just send me an email with your answers on. Any questions on anything that we've gone through today?
No, not as far as I know.
No? Excellent.
No, that's fine. Thank you.
Brilliant.
Cheers,
You're
thank you.
welcome. So yeah, in the invite as well, I've also taken off all those examples I've used on the presentation and just put them on a resource page, so they're there for you to look back at, and obviously see what the examples were of each of the different style of text. But yeah, just to recap, in your exam, you will get 3 different texts, and they will be 3 different styles of text, as we've just gone through.
Will we get to choose? Do we get to choose which one we get to do, or do we have to do all 3?
So no, unfortunately, so your reading exam will be 60 minutes, and it will be based, you'll have 3 different texts in it, and you will have to read all 3 texts. So the questions will all be based around those 3 texts.
Oh, okay.
What we've gone through today is just for you to try and know how to identify what the text is, what the purpose of the text is, so what they're trying to get across to you. So there'll probably only be 2 or 3, maybe 2 questions in there that'll say, what is the purpose of text A? You may have another one.
That. I was talking about the writing task. So the writing one, you get given a case study or whatever it is, and then you have to write on one of them. Write about one of them. Sorry, I got that wrong.
So, no, that's fine. Yeah, so that one was obviously one of the other sessions that I've delivered. You might have to write a letter, but you could use that. And so the features that we've gone through today. So, for example, if you wanted to write a letter, or if you had to write a letter with a task, it's up to you whether you make that an argumentative letter, or you might just want to inform them about the facts. So actually, I don't think you should build this park around by my house because of this, or it could be very argumentative, and you given all the reasons and facts as to why they shouldn't be, building this skate park in the park near where you live. So you can obviously still use what you've learnt today, obviously get your point across. But yeah, in terms of what it is that we've covered, it's just for you to be able to identify what the texts are going to be asking you. They'll also then, later sessions I'm going to do is they're going to ask you to compare the texts. So they're going to say what the similarities between text A and text B. So text A and B, so A might be very argumentative, B might just be informative. However, there might be some aspects of the informative one that are a little bit argumentative, like the argumentative one. So that's you picking out the similarities and then giving those examples. Does that make sense? What I do, have a look through the presentation. Obviously, if you've got any further questions, give the worksheet a go and then see how you get on. If you struggle on the worksheet, then we can obviously have a one-to-one call and go through it again. And I can help you pick out what it is for those examples. You might have a go at the worksheet and you might actually think, well, I've understood this. Okay, so thank you very much for joining today.